The word no, in my opinion, is the most powerful word in the English language for two reasons. Number one, it is powerful. But number two, it is very positive. Now, that may seem to be odd to say that the word no is positive, but it is in the sense that it has positive effects. It has positive outcomes. For example, if somebody asks you to do something, you don't want to do it, you know it's harmful, you know it's going to have negative impact on you or maybe somebody else or both, and so you say no. So you use a negative to create a positive outcome. So we have this thing sometimes where we confuse what is truly beneficial. And somehow just being negative is not beneficial. Yeah, actually, it is very beneficial. Now, what we're talking about is how people who are autistic can live above the hive mind. Now, let me quickly explain what the hive mind is. The hive mind is the place where neurotypical people live. They have intrinsic behavior patterns that is endowed upon them by nature. They're kind of like birds in a flock, and they just go inherently wherever they're supposed to go. They do what they're supposed to do. They're not even aware that they're doing it. In fact, they are so close to it oftentimes, they're not even aware that there is a hive mind. Now, hive comes from, the concept of a beehive. And if you watch bees, they don't stop and think about what they're doing. They just do it because it's inherent. It's natural. It's instinctive. And humans are the same way. But the problem is, those of us with autism are outside the hive mind, and we try to get in, we try to participate. Sometimes we have measured success, and other times we don't. And by the way, there are many different kinds of hive minds. Some people would call it a milieu, a social setting, the way that people behave in a given circumstance. So the first thing we need to understand is we need to understand the essential for being in control. And by being in control, we have to be able to say no so that we can have positive outcomes. So keep that in mind. The word no is not meant to be negative. The word no is meant to be positive. It's meant to give you a positive outcome. Word number two, or principle number two, is show respect for other people when it's deserved. Now, there's some people, not many, but there are some people on planet Earth that I absolutely positively refuse to show respect to. I think of, Joseph Stalin, Mao Zedong, these types of people. Sorry, I'm not going to respect them. Fidel Castro murdered who knows how many thousands, maybe millions of his own people. No, I'm not going to show respect to them. One of the things that bothers me immensely, and I don't mean to get political here, but you see, or used to see, it used to be a fad, that sometimes young people would wear the image of Che Guevara as if they were making a statement that they are independent. I don't know what they were thinking, but Che Guevara was brutal. He was a communist. He killed innocent people. He was, I can't say that because YouTube will censor me, but he was a racist. He hated black people. And here you have these kids, young people were wearing his face, his image, as a style statement. All right, so the point that I'm making is there are some people who don't deserve respect, and we need to be careful not to do that. But outside of that, we need to assume the best in everybody. Hang on a second. At the same time, we need to assume the worst in everybody. I don't know how many times I've been burned because I assumed the best and stopped. I didn't also assume the worst. So when I meet somebody new, I'm going to assume this is a good person, but I'm also going to assume that potentially this is a bad person. The person is going to make that decision for me as he or she operates in my life. Then, I'm not going to decide this is a bad person. I'm not going to decide this is a good person. That's their decision to make. I just observe their decision and I go with it. So we talk about giving somebody the benefit of a doubt. We're looking at these people who live in the neurotypical hive mind. We say, okay, let's give them a benefit of a doubt. And I'm for that. But keep the doubt. because if you don't, you're going to be disappointed. How do I know that? Well, because I'm almost 71 years old. I've seen a thing or two, and I'm just sharing with you some of those things I've experienced. And what I've experienced is keep the doubts, because humans are humans. Isn't that kind of obvious? But we have innate human nature. And it's not going to change because we somehow will it away. It's there. Number 3 is prioritize character. Now, I'm talking about us. We need to understand that character is our most valuable asset. So somebody says, what is your most valuable asset? Well, I'm inclined to say my wife and my family, but they're not assets. They're part of my life. I'm talking about personal assets, part of my personal character. And, there's nothing more valuable than my character. That is why people not just people in the hive mind, but people in general, love to attack your character. They love to attack your credibility, because by pushing you down, in the hive mind where they have this hierarchy moving constantly in tandem to the top position, they've got to destroy each other to get there in their way of thinking. So they can't be the alpha unless you're somehow less than the alpha. Everyone has to be lesser than them all the time. That's just human nature. That's just the way we think. And denying that's not going to make it go away. So you need to understand, the reason I say that is so that we can understand that character is under attack constantly. So we have to constantly be defending our character. And the way that you do that, in my opinion, is if somebody's going to say something about me that is critical or negative, they're going to have to lie. I don't want to give them anything that they can use for fodder. Okay, so they're going to lie about you. Now, people, believe it or not, people tend to believe lies. They believe smear campaigns. Everyone is by just instinctively, we tend to be believers. We hear something, we believe it, and then maybe we'll check it out, but usually not. What I've noticed that people do, rather than check out whether or not something is true, we're talking about a smear campaign, or slander. What we typically do is we'll spread it around before we even question it. And believe me, I've seen that 1,000 times. Number 3, prioritize your character. And number 4, which falls under that category, in fact, all of these fall under character, I assume, is be honest. So character is your most valuable asset, and honesty is also a part of that valuable asset. Why would you ever want to be dishonest? I mean, when and under what circumstances? A lot of times we try to manipulate the reality as perceived by others by being dishonest. I guess there may be some times where you have to be dishonest, or maybe the best way is just say nothing at all. Sometimes the truth hurts, and you don't want to hurt somebody, so you just don't say anything. But it's hard to come up with some specific examples, and if you can think of something, you can put it in the comment section. I'd like to hear what you have to say as well. So be honest. And if you can think of a point in time where you really have to be dishonest, let me know. I can't think of one. Number 5 is be reliable and dependable. Now, this is about your character. Now, I got to tell you that if you are autistic, you know that being reliable and dependable is not the most important thing to people who live in the neurotypical hive mind. What is important to them is getting ahead. And being reliable and dependable can actually work to your disadvantage when you're working with neurotypical people, because they see your reliability, they see your dependability, and what they see is your vulnerability. So here's one of the ways that I deal with this. I want to be dependable, I want to be reliable, and when I tell people that I'm going to do something, and I want them to know they can depend on me, they can rely on me, I never say, or I never intentionally say, that I will do this thing. Because what if I can't do it? What if I get sick? What if I'm sidelined? So I say this instead. I say, I plan to do this. So I write articles for web blogs, and when I'm getting near the finish line, I will send the publisher a note. And I don't say, I will have this to you tomorrow. I say, I plan to have this to you tomorrow. But the point of that is to be reliable, and be careful that in your quest to be dependable and reliable, you don't make commitments that you can't keep. That's a part of being reliable. It's part of being honest. It's part of just a little bit of common sense. I mean, yeah, I like to say, yeah, I will do this because I'm a person of character and I intend to do it. But what if I can't? Number 6 is be responsible. By that, I mean own up. And again, people in the hive mind, neurotypical people, see this typically as your vulnerability, because if you screw up and you own up, then they will tear you down. They say, this guy made a mistake. This guy he even admitted that he did this. And so everybody says, yeah, this is a bad guy. Well, what the neurotypical person is doing, and it could be a person who has autism doing the same thing, saying the same thing. But what they're doing is, unwittingly, unknowingly, is they are paying you a compliment because they are telling everybody that this is a guy who owns up to his own mistakes. And if something happens that is due to his error in judgment, he's going to own up to it, or she's going to own up to it. Typically, that in the long run works out well, but in the meantime, that's part of the buzz. Speaking of bees in a hive mind, part of the buzz is that gossip, the smear campaign, and so for a while, yeah, this guy's a bad guy, but eventually it will occur to them that this bad guy, speaking of you and me, who are owning up to our screw-ups, is just being honest, is just a person you can rely on to own up when he does something wrong. So yeah, it's viewed as a weakness, but ultimately it is a strength, and some people will eventually recognize it, and those who don't are people who don't own up to the screw-ups. Number 7 is employ the power of patience. Patience, some things you just have to wait on. Everything doesn't work like clockwork all the time, every time. And those of us with autism, chances are that is the ideal life. Everything works on schedule. Everything is in its place. Everything has a niche and a cranny, and the saying, a place for everything and everything in its place. Sometimes things are not where they are supposed to be. Speaking specifically of people. Have you noticed this connection? When we're talking about these things, or most anything, it always involves people. Because other people, the majority who live in the neurotypical hive mind, have tremendous effect on our lives. And so we need to be careful that we are patient with these people because they are what they are. We do what we do. We are inherently pre-programmed by nature to adhere to certain, I guess we could call them behavioral laws. And if we don't accept that, we're going to live in at least this has been my experience, live in this perpetual state of anxiety because people aren't, well, we talked about this before, as should statements, because people aren't doing what we think they should do. Who am I? Who are you to say what people should do? They're going to do what they're going to do. And maybe they should not do that, but they're still going to do it. So we need to be aware of that and be patient as we deal with them effectively. The problem with not having patience is, well, it's a demonstration of a lack of impulse control. It is an expression of a lack of impulse control. So we have patience. You know what? I'm hungry. I'm looking at my clock here, and it's 11 minutes past noon. Well, I'm supposed to have my cheese and liverwurst at noon. Okay, I'm being a bad Aspie. I'm going to keep it to my schedule. But you know what? I'm going to be patient. Yeah, I actually eat liverwurst every day. B12. It's good for you. Look it up. And if you don't like it, man, don't eat it. Take vitamins instead. That's beside the point. Number 8 is be the adult in the room. And again, this is not hard to do, but keep in mind that the one word that every adult uses is the word no. This is what we started with. So be the adult in the room by knowing when to say no. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that we live in a world of emotional children. All of us, not just people in the hive mind and the neurotypical hive mind, but we tend to be emotionally immature. All you gotta do is drive down the street during rush hour. They give driver's license to little kids, is the way it seems. And I hate to admit it, but I'm one of them. I'm getting better at that as I get older. You know that old guy that drives really, well, he doesn't drive slow, he drives the speed limit. Yeah, that's me, but that's not always been me. When I was a teenager, I used to get my biannual speeding ticket. It just happened, but something happened when I got middle age that it occurred to me, why are you in such a big hurry? I mean, you get there 2 seconds sooner and you went through all that stress. Just slow down, take it easy, let everyone else be the crazies when they get behind the wheel. Okay, now take that analogy and just spread it across life. That's the way we tend to be as human beings. So we live in a world of emotional children, and to be the adult in the room sometimes takes conscious effort because subconsciously we're going to act like little kids. We respond emotionally. We don't have impulse control or in control as well as we should most of the time. Some people don't have impulse control at all. There are some people, narcissists, psychopaths, they don't know what rules are for. There may as well not even be any rules as far as they're concerned, and they think people who abide by rules are foolish. And they think they're very wise because they don't go by the rules. Well, the problem with people who are autistic, we go by the rules, we just don't know what they are when it comes to socializing. Yeah, there are rules, there are unspoken rules, they are innate, they're inherent, and we don't know them. And we try to learn them, and people try to teach us. Remember, I did a video on the people who are constantly trying to teach us a lesson. It just doesn't work because we don't get it. But we need to focus on being the adult in the room to understand, even if we don't know the rules, know that there are rules, and that alone helps tremendously. So I struggle with this. I don't know if you do or not, but I struggle with this because people hurt you, and you want to respond emotionally like a little kid. You want to just burst out in rage or anger or depression, and it's tough. It's difficult to be the adult in the room. But somebody has to be the adult. Why not you? Now, the thing you notice here, you've learned to say no because that's an adult word. I mean, children use it all the time. They say no to everything, but they're not being adults. They're just being children. But adults use it fiduciously. We understand that there's some things that are good, some things that are bad. And one thing that I love to say no to is the pressure from the hive mind, from the neurotypical hive mind, the pressure from a narcissist, the pressure from psychopaths. The word is no, and it's more than just a word. It's a protective barrier. It's a boundary. And you don't go beyond the boundary. You think of yourself as a castle. And your body, your personality, your consciousness is your castle. This is where you live. And you got a moat around your castle. That's the no moat. And you don't go past that. You got a drawbridge, and if somebody wants to come in, they can knock or ring the bell. I don't know, how do you get into a castle? You can't reach across the moat and knock. I don't know, maybe you just stand there and yell. But anyhow, it is your castle, not theirs. It is your responsibility, not theirs, to let down the drawbridge if you want somebody to come in. Nobody comes in your castle without your permission. I've been very fortunate. I have people in my castle, in my life, so to speak, and I'm very grateful to those people, and that is number 9. Be grateful to others. Be grateful for others. I think it's important to be grateful, to show gratitude to other people, to let them know that you are grateful for them. Some people are amazed when you show gratitude toward them because They're not used to that. And they say, oh, this is a grateful person. But more often than not, and I hate to say this, but in my experience, more often than not, when you show gratitude to other people, you catch them off guard, and immediately they say, this guy's a weakling. They see it as a weakness. And we don't want to be weak. Remember, we want to say no. We want to be strong. So we don't want to come across as being weak, so we're not going to do things that give us that perception. Give others the perception that we're weak. So we don't show gratitude when we need to. But the fact of the matter is, showing gratitude is a strength. So in a sense, we're saying no to the mindset that says we should not show gratitude. So we're saying no to no. And we need to be grateful not only to others, but we need to be grateful for others. And there are people in your life, maybe not many, maybe a few, who have helped you along the way. Be grateful for those people. Sometimes they hurt you, sometimes they intentionally, sometimes they hurt you unintentionally, but still there's that level, there's that layer of gratitude where they've been important to your life. Be grateful for those people, and again, it doesn't hurt to express that gratitude, even if they think it's a weakness. But I guarantee you this, not going to guarantee it, but almost guarantee it, that when you express gratitude to somebody, you're going to elicit a shock response or a surprise response. They're just not accustomed to that. They're not accustomed to people paying them compliments. They're accustomed to living in a hive mind where everybody is fighting to get to the top. Everybody is struggling to become the alpha or as close to it as they can. Number 10 is live to learn. I don't know about you, but I love to study. I love to learn. Never was a good student because I didn't have patience to sit through all that. But still, I've spent my whole life learning stuff. I don't know what it is. I love to learn, but I have found that it is beneficial in life. And when you're living outside the neurotypical hive mind, the more you know, the greater your advantage, the greater your opportunities for success. Now, one of the reasons, among others, that I was able to build a moderately successful business is because this is back before there was a Google, back before there was an internet. At least we didn't know about it. I'd spend a lot of time in the library just researching what I needed to know about my business. Where do you get product? I mean, how do you market this? What are the rules, when it comes to legal things? And I was in direct mail, so I wanted to know what the postal system rules were. And sometimes you get that at the library, sometimes you get it at the post office, sometimes you get it by chatting with people or just listening to people when they talk. But live to learn. Every second is a learning experience. So one of the best ways to learn is to teach. When I do these videos, one of the greatest values of doing these presentations is not that I'm teaching you, and that's valuable, I think, but I'm teaching me. I mean, every time I do a video, I learn something that I didn't know, usually a lot of things I didn't know. So one of the best ways to learn is to teach. In fact, I know some people, don't know them personally, but I've heard people, I should say, who said their method of study, so they would retain information so they could pass the test, I guess, was to study as if they were preparing a lesson. But I don't know if they went beyond that or not. I don't know if they actually taught the lesson or not, but that's a good way to learn. Number 11, we'll mention this briefly, and that is to succeed outside or to live above a hive mind, you need to improve your health, maximize your health, metabolic health. Take care of yourself. I'm planning on doing a video eventually explaining how I leveraged autism to lose half of me, how I leveraged autism to drop from 260 pounds to 130 pounds. Yeah, I think it was autism or that ability to organize that helped me to do that. But why would you not take care of your castle? Is somebody else going to come in and clean it for you? No, is somebody else going to maintain it for you? No, they want to tear it down. They don't want to build it up. There is nobody on earth as vested in your health as you are. And sometimes we fret and get frustrated because the hive mind, the neurotypical people, constantly tear us down. What do? We eat. Or maybe I don't, but some people, they go on a beer drinking binge, or whatever you do. I've never tasted alcohol. NyQuil, I've had a couple drops of that, but I discovered you can even buy alcohol-free NyQuil, so that's what I use. But a lot of times we react to people tearing us down by tearing ourselves down. That's not logical. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect emotional sense, but logical sense, not at all. So sometimes our emotions and our logic fight each other. So that's why I said earlier, you need to be the adult in the room. Then finally, number 12 is keep in mind it's not you, it's us. Now, during the 12 years that I spent as a pastor, I preached a lot of sermons. I mean, I don't know what that was. Typically, I do 3 a week, sermons, lessons, whatever. So 3 times 365 times 12, you do the math. But one of the things I would sometimes catch myself doing is when I would deliver a sermon or teach a lesson, I had this propensity for saying, you need to do this, you need to be careful, you need to watch out for, you need to be reliable, you. And I still catch myself doing that. As if they're the problem, but not me. I mean, that's kind of arrogant, right? It's not you. It's us. When you're speaking to a crowd, what's wrong with you people? No, it's what's wrong with us people. We're all humans. We all have the same problems. Some of them more severe than others. Some of them less severe than others, but we're all people. Did you get something out of this video, this presentation? If so, right now you're invited to join the family by subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you think this video deserves a thumbs up, we would appreciate that. Share this on social media if you think it can help others. There's a lot of people out there that maybe need to hear what we've been talking about. And also, never neglect the conversation. There's a section below the video that has comments so you can respond to other people. You can raise questions, make observations, whatever you want to say, go ahead and say it as long as it's decent, So we'd like to have your feedback. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you all next time.